Today, we're going to go over every single movie that I saw in the month of March. I saw some garbage in March. I saw some great films in March, and today, I'm going to tell you what they were. I'm going to tell you what they rated them. Without further ado, let's get straight into this. Up first, we watch Miracle. Now, I would like to clarify something right off the rip. This was a school assignment. I did not choose to watch this. With that being said, can't believe I slept on this, okay? My parents are very, very into sports movies. I'm surprised they didn't recommend that I watch this, and I'm surprised I didn't see this at the age of 7, but here we are. This is my first time seeing Miracle, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It was a little formulaic, but it had some great quotes, some great performances, and I'd give it a 7 out of 10 overall. Then I watched Central Intelligence. If you've seen a buddy cop movie, then you've probably done better than watching this. I'm just gonna be completely honest. Look, I didn't care for this. I've seen it once before. I didn't care for it. I just didn't really like... don't get me wrong, Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart do have chemistry on screen together, but I didn't like it. I didn't really like the story. I gave it a 5.5 overall. Then I watched Heretic, and I would like to clarify, I think there are two types of people that watch this movie. I think there is the type of person that is going to give this a 5-star and say, oh my word, Hugh Grant's character was so right, and it is the this and that, and insert, they think they're making deep theological points here, when in reality, this is a good horror thriller. It does leave you quite a bit to chew on afterwards, and to be perfectly honest, I've thought about this movie a lot, not like in a bad way. The more and more I think about it, the more and more I go, I kind of want to rewatch that, because I'd like to see earlier in the film if I picked up on some things that happen later in the film. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. I enjoyed this. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't groundbreaking. And I'd give it a 7 out of 10 overall. Then I watched Mickey 17. And this was a good time. I understand the criticisms towards it. I really do. And that is partially reflected in my review of this movie. In fact, actually, my Letterboxd review for this movie was all man. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But I like this. I made a video review. If you want to know my full thoughts on the movie, you can check it out up there. I don't really remember what I gave it in that review, but I'll give it a 7 here. Then I watched The Truman Show. And unless I'm mistaken, I legitimately think this is the highest rated thing I watched this month, and for good reason. It's a great film. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It does the whole constantly being watched thing without being corny or cheesy, and actually makes it believable and interesting and intriguing, and it makes you really feel for and care for the character, especially at a particular point. A certain line got dropped in this movie, and I literally had to, and my mom will back this up because we were watching it together, I literally had to pause the movie and just go, what? I don't really know what genre to put this in because it's kind of horrifying, but it's not really a horror movie. So anyways, 9 out of 10, let's move on. Then I watched The Empire Strikes Back because my girlfriend really wants me to watch more Star Wars, and I really need to get through the original trilogy. I still haven't seen Return of the Jedi, but I need to watch Return of the Jedi still. I enjoyed The Empire Strikes Back, but we also watched it on a very long car ride, and so that made the movie seem a little bit more boring than it initially was. I'm sure if I watched it in a packed theater full of Star Wars fans, I would enjoy it a whole lot more, but I would honestly probably give it like an 8 out of 10 on this experience. It's a great movie. It has some great moments, but I didn't personally love it like a bunch of people do, but I still give it an 8 out of 10. Star Wars fans, please don't murder me in my sleep. Then I watched Oppenheimer. I'm making a full-length video on this movie soon, just because there's so incredibly much to unpack from this movie, but I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Then I watched Jojo Rabbit, and I was really, really floored by this movie, because the first 15 minutes of this movie, I was like, okay, there's no stinking way that they can make me care about these characters. And by the end, they make you care so dadgum much. I was really surprised by this movie. Considering the fact that I've almost exclusively had negative experiences with Taika Waititi films. I was not expecting much from this at all, but man, this was a great film. It had some legitimately very heartfelt moments. It had some moments that about made me want to cry. I didn't, but they about made me want to. And the cinematography, too, was really, really breathtaking. Like, it was really impressive. Then I watched A Quiet Place Day 1. And this is substantially worse than A Quiet Place. Okay, it does the premise well of, like, showcasing, because unless I'm mistaken, in the first two, I haven't seen the second one, but in the first movie, it takes place pretty much exclusively rural, like in rural locations. Part 2 also takes place mostly in rural locations, so it's kind of cool to see how a large city would react to this alien invasion, right? I liked that aspect. I thought it was very cool. But I don't like that the film quite frequently does not follow its own rules. It's kind of like, oh, okay, but this is a main character, so we have to kind of abandon the rules a little bit for them. I typically leave a like on things on Letterboxd if I would rewatch them, and I did not leave a like on this because while I would give it a 6 out of 10, I'm not really compelled to ever rewatch this. Then I watched The Meg, and I was going to write a review of this film, but something happened. Okay, right after we finished watching this film, I got my brain, and specifically the way I deconstruct movies, completely thrown out the window. So I'm going to give this a placeholder 7 out of 10, and I'm going to now explain my new rating system. From the very, very deep and insightful conversation I had one eve, my girlfriend literally at one point during the conversation looked at me and said, "You watch films, not movies." And that didn't insult me, but it completely threw off the way I looked at things completely and 100%. So anyways, this is how I rate films now. I give a TCAS rating, which I would like to clarify sounds like profanity, but it is not. And the TCAS stands for Technique, Cinematography, Audio, and Story. This is the film aspect of the movie, okay? So that it would be your audio, for example, audio design. If the film has really, really great audio design, that gets it points in that category. If the film has some beautiful cinematography, some great blocking, some great acting, and yes, I did decide to make the A audio instead of acting because I lump acting in with the cinematography and the story. Technique is literally how the film is presented. It's kind of an extension of cinematography, but technique is more, what's the style of the film like? Is the film stylistically impressive? Does it hold the same style? Because, for example, you have some movies that try and do the dual tone thing, like a lot of comedy movies try and have very heartfelt moments only to have the teddy bear snorting cocaine one scene later. Yes, that was a stray in Ted's direction, but I want to have two, and this is part of the very, very long conversation I had one night with multiple different people, but the TCAS rating is basically how much of a film was it? Okay, good. You understand? No? You're confused? Don't worry, I'm making a full-length video on it. Then we've got my entertainment/enjoyment rating. This is pure enjoyment. Did I enjoy the movie or not? Throw out characters. Throw out, was the blocking good? Throw out, was the acting good? The entertainment/enjoyment rating is simply, did I enjoy it? Did I have a fun time? Did I laugh? Did I find myself sucked into the story? Which that is really more of story, the S and the TCAS, but regardless, then I take those two scores and I kind of average things, but depending on the film, I kind of weigh things one way or another, and I give my overall rating. So from this point going forward, if you guys watch my reviews, you will get a TCAS rating, an entertainment/enjoyment rating, and an overall rating, which I feel like is good because TCAS is good for some of the cinephiles out there. Some of you who would want to know, well, was the acting good? Was the story good? Things like that. That rating may satisfy you, whereas the enjoyment/entertainment rating may satisfy just someone looking to find out, is this a fun time? Should I go to the theater to see it, or should I watch it on streaming? Something like that. And then the overall rating is a blend of the cinematography, the TCAS rating, and the just overall enjoyment rating. Good? You got it? Alright, let's move on. And oh boy, it's going to be a lot more fun to edit these videos because I have to include 3 ratings now. Man of Steel. Long. Boring at a lot of times. Cool moments. Bad CGI. I like Henry Cavill as Superman, but I have discovered over the last couple Zack Snyder films that I've seen that I really dislike Zack Snyder's directing style. Much like Tyler Perry, that I have come to know recently, unfortunately, I just really don't care for this style of directing. If the best way I could describe it is trying to act super deep. It's like what a 14-year-old thinks is a deep topic, right? It's not, but they think it is super deep, and it's, oh, we need to investigate morals and things like that. Anyways, I'm gonna stop yapping about this film, and I'm gonna give you my ratings. The TCAS rating, I would give a 5 out of 10. The entertainment enjoyment rating, I would give a 7 out of 10. And the overall final rating of the film, I would give a 6.5 out of 10. Then I watched Novocaine. I was not expecting to enjoy this, and guess what? I left the theater pleasantly surprised. Perfect example of why you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. I thought that the TCAS segment of the film, the technique, cinematography, audio, and story, you'll remember it soon, don't worry, I have it memorized. It wasn't great, but it also wasn't bad. Like, there were some really, really pretty shots, and there was some excellently blocked scenes, and I thought the story had a hole or two in it here or there. It wasn't Swiss cheese, but it definitely had a hole or two in it. I'd give the TCAS rating 6 out of 10. As far as the enjoyment entertainment rating, I really enjoyed this. Like, this was a fun theatrical experience. We were laughing, we were wincing with the things that happened. It was just very good, very cool, very nice. 8.5 out of 10 enjoyment rating, and I'd give this a final rating of 8 out of 10. Next up, I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, and this is another one of those films that does the dual tone thing, and I don't like it, and I don't like how it was done. Okay, so let's get into this for a minute. Calm down. I'm not roasting your favorite film. I did still enjoy this. I would like to clarify, I did still enjoy this, but I didn't love it like a lot of people did, because there were some legitimately fantastic moments in this. There were some heartfelt, which I feel like from the start of the movie, you're expecting a heartfelt, serious, but wild premise movie. Well, you have some heartfelt moments here or there, and then you have the most bizarre, weird thing you can think of happen. It's just not my cup of tea, personally. I understand why some people love this movie, but I also didn't like how little, and this is partially my own worldview on the matter, I didn't like how nihilistic this was, but didn't really do much to show that having that nihilistic worldview is bad and is not healthy. It did do a decent job of that, but I think it could have done a better job. I would give the TCAS rating 8 out of 10. The editing does need to be studied. I will clarify, the editing of this film, fantastic. Goodness, is it some ADHD editing, but it's very good. Acting, very good. Story, confusing, but relatively solid. That's why I would give the TCAS rating 8 out of 10. Entertainment enjoyment rating, because of the whole dual tone thing of, stinking one wild thing followed up by an actually heartfelt moment that almost makes me want to cry, followed up by yet another weird thing, I would give the entertainment enjoyment rating 6 out of 10, and I would give the final rating of this film 6.5 out of 10. Then I watched The Iron Claw, and this is how to do dual tones in a movie right. I will not lie to you. I will not sugarcoat the truth to you. This is a horribly depressing movie. I would argue one of the saddest movies I've ever seen until the last 10 minutes. And there is a scene in that last 10 minutes that I don't necessarily fully agree with. It is sweet, it is a great wrapping up, and it did almost make me want to cry, but I didn't. And then the scene directly following that is just the most stinking beautiful example of how film can be used to draw emotions. If you haven't seen this, it's about wrestling. It's a subject matter that I don't give a crap about, personally. I couldn't care less about wrestling. But this film makes you feel the emotions that the characters are feeling. It makes you entrapped in the world that they are. And again, it's very sad. It is a very heavy movie. So please, if you are considering watching this, go into this knowing this thing tackles some heavy subject matters, but it is very, very good. I would give the TCAS rating 8 out of 10. I think the story is solid. I think the editing is solid. Cinematography is great. Acting, fantastic all around. And I think that, again, with the technique, it does the dual tone of being heartbreaking to then being sweet because of the heartbreak. Oh my gosh, if anybody says something about being a brother, I might just break down in public, okay? Because wow is all I'm gonna say about this film. I would give it an entertainment enjoyment rating of 7 out of 10. I would like to clarify, on a rewatch, I think this would be a lot higher. I think this would be a much, much higher rated film from me, because my final rating is 7.5, simply because it does feel like quite the slog emotionally to get through, but it is very, very worth it for the end. Yeah, I think I would rate this a whole lot higher on a rewatch, but 7.5 out of 10 overall. Then I watched Death of a Unicorn, and I was expecting this to be a pretty mid movie. And guess what? I was unfortunately right. I was really hoping that this would be a great, fantastic time, and it was still a very fun time in the theaters, but it is very mid, admittedly. There are some funny moments. It is absolutely worth watching, and I will probably rewatch it, but I did not love this like I was hoping to. I think the acting was great. I made a full video review on it. You can check it out in the top right hand of the screen right now. I don't want to bore you with details about it. TCAS rating, 7.5 out of 10. Entertainment enjoyment rating, 7 out of 10. Overall rating, 7 out of 10. Let's move on. Then I watched The Hitman's Bodyguard, and a whole lot like Central Intelligence, this thing basically relies on the same joke over and over and over. In Central Intelligence, the fault of the joke was, oh, it's The Rock! It's Kevin Hart! Oh, funny! And then just nothing. And in this, the movie's fault is, oh, look! It's Ryan Reynolds refusing to kill people! Oh, and it's Samuel L. Jackson wanting to kill people! It's just aggravating. And while it did keep the unserious tone pretty much the whole movie, I didn't care for this. I didn't really like it that much. I'd give it a TCAS rating of 3 out of 10 because the acting was good, but the cinematography, everything looked so flat. Nothing looked like it had depth, which is a really odd way to describe a movie, but everything felt so lifeless. It felt like a very corporate movie. I will say that. It felt like they played it very safe with this film. Entertainment enjoyment rating, 6 out of 10. It was fine, but I would never watch it again. And my final rating of this film was 5 out of 10. And finally, we wrapped up the month with The Lone Ranger. And this was good. I didn't love it, but I also didn't hate it. I think the TCAS rating, I'll give a 6 out of 10, just because the acting was very, very impressive. The story was a bit muddy, I'm going to be perfectly honest. It was a far too long film, or it was far longer than it should have been. They could have easily cut 30 minutes of content, and it has still been just as enjoyable of a film. Because the final battle of the movie, there's just so much going on. And not necessarily, it is a very, very good battle, but there's so much going on that it's really hard to keep up with. And it just feels like there's too many moving parts at the end, which is funny because they're on a train. But I would give my entertainment enjoyment rating of this an 8 out of 10 just because it was a good time. It was a fun time. I enjoyed it. Probably wouldn't enjoy it quite as much on a rewatch without the mystery of, what's going to happen. And my final rating of this film would be 7.5 out of 10. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for every film I watched in March. If you enjoyed, if you want to see what I watch in April, be sure to subscribe. And if you want to see what I watched in February, you can click on that video over here. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys later.